Hey everyone, how is everyone doing today? My name is Gina and I am doing great. Look what we're gonna make today. We're gonna make our own little greeting cards. Oopsie. Using Procreate and Canva.com. And I'm going to show you how to do this. Everything is free. Procreate is a free software. Of course you have to buy an iPad. But Canva is a free software online. So everything I'm going to show you is free. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to create a new canvas. So I'm going to go up here to my little plus thing and I'm going to use a 3000 by 3000 pixel. Okay, so as you can see, this looks like a watercolor rendering, right? So what I want to do, but I did it all on Procreate. The first thing that we want to do is put a paper texture that looks like watercolor. Now, unfortunately, Procreate does not have this. This is the only thing that Procreate is not going to have for us. So you will have to go and search for free paper textures, but I will link down below the lady that inspired me to do this. She is so good at digital art. Genevieve is her name. I will try to remember to link her link to her paper texture down below, and it's free. She says it's free. So you will need to do that. I, however, if you can see, I'm splattering, I have many watercoloring markers or brushes that I have purchased. I have these from Macari. I have the Everything Watercolor, which is fantastic. I also have Jazza's Ultimate digital brushes, which he has watercolor in here as well. So I have a lot, but again, I wanted this to be free for y'all. So I do prefer, though, the Macari ordinary paper or the Paper Crisp. I'm going to choose the Paper Crisp on this. So to get the texture, I want to make sure that I have a layer, which I do. I'm going to rename it. Try to get always in the habit of renaming things. I usually don't. I'm going to put paper, and you can just write like that and it will come up for you. Alright, I want to make sure that my brush is all the way as big as it can be. And now what I want to do is I want to just start over here and kind of, oh well, that's green. I don't want it to be green. Sorry, I did not realize. I want my color to be white because I just want the texture of this. But if you want different textures, you can do that. Okay, so if you look, you will see that your whole paper is covered in that texture. If we were to only do it just, let's rename. If we only did it like this, if you go look, you see that only half of the paper has it. I hope that makes sense. It's just a way for you to make sure that you have everything. So now we want to create another layer, but make sure that our, well, hold on. Okay, what I'm concerned with, I want to just show you, because I did it once and then went over it, I'm afraid it's going to be more saturated in this area than the other, so I don't want that. So that's why it's really important to, and we can just clear this out, to just make sure you do it in one swoop like that, so it's all good and cohesive. So now you see, oh, I missed a corner over here. Crapola. I mean, it's important that we get the whole paper, but just don't bring your pen up and you will be fine. Okay, we're looking good. So now I want to do another layer. I'm going to rename this layer to sketch, because now we've got a sketch. And I want to do just like this again, a very simple little sketch. I personally, myself, I like in the sketch part, I like to see the 6B pencil. I know a lot of people like the HB, but it just is not thick enough for me. I like the 6B personally. That's just my personal choice. Whatever pencil you like, go ahead. I'm just gonna pick like a charcoal color, this dark gray color, and I'm gonna go ahead and start. Now, we don't wanna make this too big, because if we do, it's not gonna really go on the card very well. Okay, so we want the ball to not be way too big. So I'm just gonna do a rough little circle, just hold it, and it'll say edit shape, go up, tell it just, I want you to be a circle. Now to adjust the size that we want it to be, I want it just to actually be just a tiny bit bigger, not too much. I'm going to click on the little arrow up here, and I'm going to make it, I'm going to resize it just that much. Just that much. I don't want it that much bigger. All right, and I can also use that to bring it down a little bit. So I'm going to draw it, and then I will see if, I think this is going to be big enough. So now I want to draw the top part. So again, I'm just kind of just free-handing this. I mean, this is a free gift for your friends and all of such. So, and then we're going to do the little thing. And if you hold it, it will create a shape for you as well. This is why Procreate is so good. But this is also why people say that digital painting is cheating, which I don't feel it is, because it's still difficult. I'm going to go ahead and put the little lines in here to represent that it's, you know, the top. And that's it. That is our sketch. Now, do I feel like this is too big? Because we kind of want to, like the way that I did this, right? Like seasons, greetings. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lower it just a little bit. I feel like it's too big. And if you don't like if you feel that this is off center, which I feel it is a little, you can take that S looking thing, make sure you're on freehand, go around it, and then use the other tool, and you can kind of manipulate it to where you think it looks good. Okay, I think that looks good. And now, of course, we're gonna have to take this part and move that over. Now, this is just our sketch, so it doesn't have to be perfect. We kind of know what we're doing here, right? Okay, that looks better to me. Y'all cannot see anything because of my camera is being a jerk. Here, sorry. Ugh, why is this being a jerk? Man, I don't like this camera sometimes. All right, so hopefully, I'm sorry. But there is our sketch. So now we're gonna do and we wanna make sure that our paper is always on top. Now we're gonna do a new layer, and whoops, we don't need to lock it. We want to rename this to ornament or colors or whatever you want to name it. We'll bring the sketch up to the top, hit the N here, and we're going to just change the opacity a little bit so it's faintly there. Okay, so once we get our layer ready, we want to make sure we're on the ornament layer. We're going to go into inking, choose the marker, and we're going to use it, and we're not going to raise up our marker, our pencil, because we don't want to do that, because if we do, I'm going to show you. So if I raise up and come over, that is what you're going to get, which is what we want in the end. We want something that's going to build up like this, like a watercolor does. However, we don't want to do that at the beginning. So let's just, I'm going to clear this out. And we can do just like this, especially with this marker. Hold it just like we did before, and it's going to say edit shape and do circle again. Now we can take and drag in, take and drag in our color, and it fills in the whole thing. So that's what's cool about the marker, okay? We're going to go ahead and let's do the top part here, and I'm going to go back down here and use this silver color here. And I want to make sure I'm down a little bit on this situation. And again, I'm just coloring this in. And again, you can just hold it down. There we go. Now, we can take this and we can go over, like what I was talking about, and make these little lines, right? And make the little lines here. And come around this way. All right, now we can go back with this color. We put our finger on it, it should change for us. And now I want this to be a little bit bigger, because now I'm going to do some shadow work on the ball part here. So I want it kind of like that, kind of around this way. And now I kind of want to make this part, see, I goofed up there. Kind of want it just to be like this. And then come back around this way to make this a little darker here. This is gonna look crazy. That went up too high. This is gonna look crazy until it doesn't look crazy. Right, and then we're gonna come back around to this darker edge here. I want it darker again. I went a little out over here, but I'm going to just erase it. Okay, I don't know why that's on that. When I erase, I want it on soft brush. And we can just take that off right there. All right, so this is looking nuts, and I came a little bit up too much here, so I'm gonna kind of take that off. All right, but I'm gonna leave it like that. Now on this side, I am going to erase over here. I want it a little bit bigger. And, ooh, not that big, sorry. Where the light is like hitting it in a couple spots here. Okay, now I also want some little highlights like here and maybe even here. And I'm just erasing a little bit of that, okay? Now what I want to do is I want to highlight it a little bit even more. So I'm going to take and make it pretty big, and I'm barely touching. I mean, it's such a soft little kiss, and I'm erasing just a little. Same thing up here, just a little bit. It's just going to add a little bit more highlight to this area. Okay, so now this is looking wackadoodle-doo, right? It's looking crazy. But what I want to do is I want to smudge this area, and I want to use Spectra, which is in the painting area, to smudge this. You can use pretty much anything in this painting will be nice, but just play around with it. But Spectra, what it's going to do is you just take it, kind of wiggle it around to not make these lines so harsh, right? Because that is what is going to make it look like a watercolor and not a digital. So we just kind of are dancing here around. And again, play with the different brushes. You may find one that you like better. Okay, same thing over here. We're kind of just going to dance a little, just to kind of get these lines not so crazy. And as you see, my opacity is down on this. You don't want it too opaque or it will make it really crazy. Same thing up here. I'm gonna kind of just do the top, bring my brush down just a little so I'm staying inside of this and not on the outside. But I'm just trying to, especially like these little guys here, I want to soften them up, the lines here. I want to make them soft, not so prominent, right? And you can just ziggy-zaggy and do what you need to do to diffuse them is pretty much what we're doing here. Because the goal is to make it look more like a real watercolor. Okay, so we've got that. Just a little bit more right here. Feel, just go to town. You don't want to do too much though, because then you're going to, you know, ruin what you had going on. All right, so I think this is looking good. Okay, it's looking good, but we can make it look better. So we want to go up here to the S, touch it. This comes up, make sure we're on freehand and our color fill is off. And we want to just choose, right now I'm worried about this darker part of the ball area. So I'm just gonna do just different squiggle lines, maybe not even that big. Let's go this big first. And I'm going to feather, and you can feather out and you can see how far out it'll go. Click the wand, go to hue, saturation, and brightness. We're going to bring the brightness down, and you see here how only that part that I chose is darkening up, right? You can play with the saturation and the hues if you want. And then we will do the same thing. I will pick maybe round in here. Just making squiggly lines. It doesn't matter. Just have fun. And then again, I'm watching these little lines to see how they wiggle. Go back up, and then I'm gonna again go down with the bright, see? And then that makes it look so much like watercolor. It's just amazing. I just love it. Again, we can play with the saturation if you want to. Totally up to you, or the hue rather, and the saturation if you want. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing over here with our this part, the light part. Again, same thing, but now I want to make it brighter. But look, as I do that, oh, you know why? Because I forgot to do an important step. I forgot to feather it. That made a difference. All right, so feather all the way out, or ever how much you want to feather. And now let's go that. Now we're gonna go up with our brightness, not too much though, I feel. And let's change our saturation as well with this, maybe a little cooler. Okay, and then again, I'm gonna do the same thing. And I need to feather that. Ever how much you want to go out. This is where it's just fun, and it's just a little extra something. And you barely have to touch, see I'm at 54%. You barely have to touch the brightness with this. Let's go a little cooler with that, and I think that's gonna be good. I like it. I think that looks so cool. Again, we can do this up at the top as well. Maybe this side, let's make it a little bit darker. So again, I'm going to just feather it out a little bit, and I'm going to just take that brightness down, and I'm going to mess with the hue just a tiny bit, and we'll do the same thing over here, and we'll make this side lighter. This is the fun part here, where you can just play and just lighten it up ever how much you want to lighten it. All right, so, okay, Gina, there we go. All right, so I'm thinking that is looking great. this is looking so good. So now we have our ornament. It's done. It's finished. It's beautiful. I love it. So now what I want to do is I want to create another layer, and I'm going to actually bring it below. I'm going to rename it to, rename, okay, hello, okay, whatever. This is going to be the ground shadow. Okay, so again, I'm going to take my brush, and this time I am going to go into the painting, and I'm going to use this fresco. Okay, and I'm going to just pick a color that I think is going to go pretty well with this. I think I'm going to go with, let's look at what this purple is. I'm going to bring the opacity down though, because I may not like it. But all we're going to do is we're going to just go underneath this. And again, it builds up slowly. And we're underneath this so that it'll look like it's a shadow. Okay. I'm going to bring it down just a little because I want to really like kind of saturate the bottom here. I'm kind of just squiggling around as well down here at the bottom. And again, we can take our smudger if we feel like that is too harsh, which I feel like it was. So I'm just going to smudge that right there. And there we go. We're just doing this so this doesn't look like it's just floating in air. We're kind of giving it a place to land. Okay, so now the very last thing that we want to do is we want to add another layer. And this time this can go on top or underneath the ornament, whatever way you want. But we're going to add, we're going to rename it, and we're going to add splatters to this one. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, so Procreate does have a splatter. It's in with elements. I want to say, oh, I didn't see the driven snow. Let's see what this looks like. I'm going to go ahead and pick the color that I was using for my ball. And I want to make sure that on this layer that I am on linear burn, because what that will do is a linear burn will take all the colors that it just gives it different colors. So I've just barely put on there. Driven Snow seems to be working just fine for me, but there's also a splatters, but Driven Snow is fine, and that was in elements. So splatters is in actually spray paint. I had to manipulate the splatter to make it look the way I wanted to, but this from the Driven Snow looks just fine to me. If you want to, whoops, you can go to the silver and just put a little bit of silver up there if you want. And you can also go back with that purple that we were using and come down here with the purple if you would like. Okay, so that's it. That is how you do it. Now let me show you what we need to do in order to use this in Canva to create our card. We're going to take the background off. You need to do that. It looks crazy when you do that, but that is what you need to do. Before we leave though, double check to make sure that this is not too big. I feel like it may end up being too big. So let me show you how we're going to fix that. You have one layer, it doesn't matter which layer, but you want it to be the top layer of your whole painting. And then the other layers underneath, go to the right with them, except for background color, and then come up here and group them. And we're going to rename this just ornament. Okay, So now your whole ornament is grouped. Make sure that you have stayed on that. Come back up to the arrow, and here we can adjust everything. Oh, we can take our sketch off, sorry. Yeah, make sure your sketch is off. Oops. But, okay, yeah, we know what's in there. Okay, okay, there we go. And just adjust it to ever how big you think you're gonna need it. Oops. I think that this is going to be a good size. We don't want it too big, because if we do that, our season's greetings or happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you want to use, is not going to work. It just will, there won't be enough room. But I think that this looks good. I like this size. I think it's going to work. Let me just go down just a smidge more. I'd rather be safe than sorry, because you can always go back and make it bigger, right? Or smaller, whatever. To make it bigger, you would do the exact same thing. So now our background is off. That's very important. And then we're going to come up here to your little wrench, and you're going to share. Make sure you share it as a PNG. That's important. So we're going to export, and I do mine to my Dropbox. So it will, wherever you want to save it to be able to get to it from your computer. Because we got to get to it from our computer, because that's going to be the next step in this whole process of making these cute greeting cards. All right, so it's uploaded, everything looks good, and we're done. So we're done with Procreate, so we can go ahead and move to our computer. Okay, so you're going to go to canva.com, and I think that you need to sign in or create a sign-in, login to be able to print. I can't remember, to be honest, but it's free. Everything I'm doing is for free, and I am not paying what they want, so it's all going to be free. But I'm going to come up here to create a design, click it, come down to custom size, click it. I'm going to do 8.5 by 5.5. We want to make sure they're inches. 8.5 by 5.5 inches. Okay. Oh, I could have done that. Anyway. All right. So it's going to bring us up to our actual, what we're going to be working with. Why we're doing this is because we're making an A2 card. I believe it's an A2. It's 4.5 by 5.5, right? And it's portrait size. So if you're looking at this, half of this right here where I'm doing this half is going to be the back of your card. This half is going to be where the ornament is in your sentiment is going to be, okay? So we want to come over to the left to uploads, go to upload file, and we want to go into Dropbox or wherever you saved your ornament from Procreate. Go down and I don't know why. Oh yeah, I do. I'm gonna pick the one that I want, and it will upload the file for us. It looks a hot mess, I'm not gonna lie. It looks a hot mess because the background's not on there, but once it's on your card, it looks really cute. And of course, it's gonna take a while to download, or upload rather. So once it's been downloaded, we are going to go ahead and bring it over, and we're going to set it in. Now, if we left it like this, where we put that textured paper, it is not going to show, and we don't want that. So we're going to go ahead and make this big to fit the card. All right, now that is all that we're going to do right now. Oh no, it's not. I'm sorry. We are going to also put our sentiment on here. I think I want to put happy holidays or winter wishes, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Let's just decide. So we're going to go over to text. I do the add text box. up here at the top is where your fonts are at, the size. The size that I'm going to choose is 20. And the font I'm going to choose is the one that I've been using. I think it's called Virtual. But use whatever font floats your boat. First, you might want to make it a little bit bigger just so you can see what you're dealing with. And then we'll adjust it. But you can go to the text color if you don't want it black. And what's cool about Canva is you see right here, it has pulled all these colors from your photo, right? So you can have complementary colors that go with your painting. I think I want to go maybe with this lighter color. I'm gonna maybe, whoa, I had caps on. Maybe go Merry Christmas, okay? And you could, of course, do it all in one thing if you want, if I could spell, right? And we can take it and we can put it up at the top here. We could take it, put it down here at the bottom, whatever you want to do with it. If we put it to the bottom, it's kind of too light. I think I'm going to go with Happy Holidays. Okay, those look like ends to me. Nappy Holidays. I don't like that. So let's just maybe Winter Wishes. Well, let's do it in two things so I can show you. Let's make this 80 actually. Make it pretty big. You just get to play with this. This is playing around. Let's do the other text box. Again, I'm going to make it 80. And I'm going to choose that same color. And Winter Wishes is what I'm going to name it. And it needs to be just a little bit bigger. And I'm going to bring it down. Now you see these lines kind of help you to center everything that you want to center. You just have to play around with, like that is then in the center. Let's see, I'm pretty sure this was centered, yes. I don't like the color though, because it's kind of being washed out. So let me change the color to this, even though I really liked that color. Let me change it maybe to the darker. Maybe just have two colors, that might look cool. Again, you could play forever, for days on here. Let's make them both the same color. Okay, Winter Wishes is what I'm going to say for this. This might be a little bit too high up. Maybe bring it down a smidge. There we go. Winter Wishes. Okay, I think that's looking pretty rad. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to leave this like that, and we're going to go ahead now and we're going to come over here to File up at the upper left hand and go to Download. Now we want to make it a PNG. Okay, we want to make this a photo, because if we were to print this right now, half of our paper would be used and be wasted. We want to use one whole 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So we're going to go ahead and download this. This is going to take several steps. I should have mentioned that to begin with, but it's so worth it. It's free, and then once you have it, you've got it, you know. So if you can see down, it has been saved, winter.png, to your downloads. Now what we want to do is we want to go back to home, and we want to do this again. Instead of doing an 8.5 by 5.5 though, we want to do an 8.5 by 11. Okay. I had already done one, so I just chose that. So now we're at 8.5 by 11. We're going to go over to uploads again. We're going to upload files, and now we're going to find in our downloads what we just downloaded. Okay, so here it is, winter PNG file. We're going to open that. Okay, once it gets uploaded, you're going to bring it over on this paper. Now, y'all, I'm going to tell you, this is a persnickety thing that you have to do. And I'm not very proficient in Canva. Actually, this is like the second time using it, but I found workarounds, right? So you bring this guy over, and it should be as big as the half of this paper, but it is not, as you can see. So what you want to do, and this is the persnickety part, you just make it 8.5, and then you want to bring this down to 5.5, okay? And bring this all the way over. But when you do that, it's cutting off some of the letters. Don't panic. Take it and bring this one over to the bottom, and then you will see that this fits perfectly. There is not a thing wrong with it. Even if you went to adjust it, you would see that it is perfect. So now what you need to do, it's a lot of double work, but it's free, y'all. You're going to click on the top, delete it, click on the bottom, right click, and duplicate this. And then just push it up, and voila, you've got your front part of 2 cards, okay? So you've got, this is your front and this is your back. Here's card 1, here's card 2. Simple, easy, right? All right, again, now we need to save this. So we're going to go back up to File, we're going to go to Download, but now this time we're going to download it as a PDF print, okay? PDF print. Go ahead and download it, and it's going to give it an untitled design, but we can rename it in just a second. As you see, it is come up down here. Click on it, and it's going to open up on your screen, ready to print. So now what we need to do is we need to put our paper in our printer and go ahead and print this out. So I'm going to do that, and I will be back in just a minute. Okay, so I'm going to hit the print icon, and we want to just make sure that everything looks pretty good. I think it looks great. If you want to make sure that everything is, like I have my printer set where it is printing a photo at a matte photo paper in high quality. So it's got a nice, look to it. But go ahead and hit print, and it will print it out. And then if you want to do a sentiment inside, let me tell you how we do that. It's almost the same exact thing that we do, with just one little difference in it. So what we want to do is we want to go back to Canva, and instead of a 8.5 by 5.5, we want to go with the 4 1/4 by a 5.5. Okay, we want just the one side of the card that our sentiment is going to go in. So, of course, we need to wait for everything to come up, which we do. Okay, and so the sentiment is just text this time. So hit your text. We're going to add a text box. And again, I'm going to use what I was using before. I'm going to make it kind of big so I can see what I'm doing. But in the end, I'm going to make it a 20 up here font size, because it will be too big if it doesn't. So let's think of what we want our text to say. Now our photo is not here, so we can kind of look to see any that could be similar. Here's more of that purplish color that we used before, so maybe use that. And I'm just gonna say, sending love and joy this holiday season. Okay, something along those lines. Now, as you can see, this thing is not centered. It's just crazy town. If you click on position and click middle, it will go straight in the middle, and that's what we want. But now I'm going to, again, change these fonts down to 20 now that I see that everything looks good, my spelling is good, and all, whatever. Maybe make the H, I was gonna make the H capital, but I think it's fine. All right, so again, we wanna make sure that we are centered here in the middle. All right, it looks small on here, but when you print it out, it will be a pretty nice size. And again, you can play with it if you don't like the size. I highly suggest that you use your regular copier paper until you know that it is exactly what you want it to look like. Okay, so again, we're going to come over to File, we're going to download this, and again, we're using a PNG file because we want it to look like a picture for us. Okay, so it is now, downloaded. Once you get it downloaded, then you want to come and do an 8.5 by 11 again, because now we want to print it on the other side of what we just print. So whatever way your printer works to print on the other side, you need to take the paper that just printed and either flip it or leave it the way it is, whatever way your printer wants you to do to print on the back side. We are going to go to Uploads, and we have already uploaded it. So we want to take this saying and put it over to the right hand side. And as you can see, it is not behaving, it's not being right. So we want this to be 5.5, right? And we want this to go ahead and be the 8.5 type of situation here. We want to then take this card and bring it over, and it will be perfect for us, just like we did before. You see how that worked. Okay, so now we can delete this guy. I mean, it's so small, but if you, and you can double check to make sure that your setting is right, and it is. Okay, so now what you want to do is you just want to duplicate again and bring it up. And we're going to need to come down so we can make sure it snaps into place. And that's it. So now we have to file, and we want to download this into that PDF file this time. PDF. And we want to download it. And it's going to come up again. And now go to your printer, switch what you printed out, switch it up again, and then print this side onto the back side of what you just printed. It might take a little bit of practice to know how to do it. That's why I say to use your copy paper, not your good cardstock on this. So let me go do that, and I will be back and we'll show you the final results. Okay, so here we have the front part, right? And then if you flip it, there's our sentiment. I know it looks small, but in person, it'll do. It might need it to be a little bit bigger, but I'm okay with it. Now what we want to do is we want to cut these out. This is going to be very simple. We get our cutter, and we're just going to cut them at 5.5 because they should be perfect. 5.5, right? And then we need our score, and we're going to score them at the A2 mark. I like to flip them over and score it. And there is our card. Isn't it adorable? And it was all for free. Free, 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 free. I will, in case if you don't have Procreate but you want to try to replicate this card, I will have the PDFs on my Facebook group for you to enjoy. if you want to create this card. I will have the winter wishes and the season greetings card. You see the different fonts. This was at 30, that's at 20. So, but they both say the same thing: sending love and joy this holiday season. So there we go. Alright, y'all. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this Craftmas video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, share it, and don't forget to subscribe if you've not subscribed. And if you have, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you more than you know. Alright, y'all. I will see you tomorrow for another day of Craftmas. Y'all be good to one another. Bye.